guys, it's Ashley from the Awakened State, and today we're going to play with our root chakra and talk about abundance mindset. So how do we manifest an abundance mindset? So I want to take this just a little bit step further than just your average money talk. Let's go into the energetics of abundance and how we can use abundance as a tool in our life. All right, let's hop in. Hey guys, it is Ashley from theawakenedstate.net, and this week on our manifestation series, How to Manifest, we are talking about abundance, how to manifest abundance. This is such a crucial conversation on manifestation. You know, I was thinking about what do I want to really cover this week? You know, we've covered a lot so far. We covered confidence and love and self-esteem and health, and some of these areas are so important. But you know what's even more important is understanding the concept of abundance itself. This is something I talk a ton about in Alignment Reset Challenge, my 21-day challenge, all about how to access your personal alignment. It's a ton of what I talk about in Soul Nourishment Bootcamp, and also the Soul Line Manifesting Circle, which I will give you information on that below because it is opening its doors officially now. And what I want to talk about today is abundance is an energy. So a lot of the times, like when we think about abundance, we automatically are associating it with money, right? So, but abundance is so much more than just this concept of like something like being like abundant, like money in our life. Okay, so abundance is like plentiful. It's more than enough. It's the energy of there's always more than enough. And instead of, most of us have grown up in a society where we believe we have just barely enough. And so our default setting is kind of rooted in, well, there's always just enough. Well, I always can slide by. I can always kind of get by. And instead, abundance allows us to jump into a totally different frequency where we begin to understand that abundance is our birthright and we enter a state of overflow. And the concept of overflow is there's so much that our cup is overflowing and we have more than enough to go around. There's more than enough for you. There's more than enough for me. There's more than enough for everyone. And so the thing here that you have to see is a lot of society teaches us that we live in like a zero-sum game where there's not enough to go around. And we have a scarcity driven mindset that's driven from us, from our ancestors in society, and from this concept of, you know, we're still trying to chase the tigers in our life, basically. And so it's a very survivalistic mindset. And you have to think about this conceptually, okay? Like when you think about how we grew up and our ancestors before us and generations past, like, well, not even our ancestors, just generations past, you know, a lot of us came from the Great Depression era. And so those beliefs are still kind of sticking to us or lingering on us. And it's like, we have to stretch our meals to get by. We have to, you know, make sure we always have just enough. And we have these very limited mentalities of how we were in a state where, like in history, when there wasn't enough. And so this mindset became very solid and rooted into society. And so, you know, lack as a concept is driven around our survivalism. And it gets triggered when we're in a very high beta state frequency. And that allows us to kind of drop into fight, flight, freeze response. And what occurs in the lack mindset is we're allowing ourselves to really drop into survival. And when we're in survival, it's like we literally kicked on our autopilot programming. We're just like going through the motions, hamster on a wheel, everything's on repeat. And what occurs is in that lack mindset, we are driven around by feeling that we're in an illusion that there is never enough. Now, abundance mindset is highly, highly different. Abundance states that there is always more than enough. Abundance states that we are naturally abundant by our birthright. Abundance states that there is always more than enough to go around. And so to tap into manifesting abundance on all levels, we have to go back to those root foundations that we learned, where, lack is a survivalistic mentality. It's literally rooted into our DNA that how we are in a state of survivalism is due to a lack mindset. And so to override that concept, you have to realize that there's two polarities going on simultaneously, and you have to recognize them. Oh, my nails are pretty. And so basically, does anyone do Color Street? That's what these are. Side note. Okay. Basically, you have two polarities going on, right? And what is going on is you have to recognize this. And this kind of really blew the lid off for me on understanding abundance. You have to see it so simply. There are two polarities going on. If lack exists, it is desiring to be met by abundance. When we are in a fear of lack, it is always desiring to be met by abundance due to law of polarity. This is literally universal law. Literally, lack is an illusion of perception that is rooted into abundance. Because of this, abundance is literally more real than lack. And I think I said this in a previous video, but it's so important to understand this. Abundance is literally more real than lack. By universal law, it is literally more real due to the law of vacuum. The concept of the law of vacuum, if you are not familiar, we're playing with some universal laws today. The concept of the law of vacuum states that nature abhors a vacuum. What is empty must be refilled and replenished and replaced. When you think about the concept of the law of vacuum, when you go to clean your house, 9 times out of 10, a week later, if you have children, more than likely, but it might just be you're a messy person, it will inevitably occur that more mess will come back a week later due to the law of vacuum. When your refrigerator is empty, due to the nature of the law of vacuum, more than likely you will replenish and refill your refrigerator, and so forth. When a flower dies, it will naturally be replaced by grass and dirt and water, and it will inevitably become more grass once the flower dies. The nature of replenishment is life itself. The cycle of life, death, rebirth. It is literally the cycle. And due to this, what does this have to do with abundance, Ashley? Everything. Because you see that it is a law that is taking place in our reality. It is not just I'm in lack, blah, blah, blah. There is a universal law that is desiring to be met by abundance. The energy of abundance is the polar opposite of lack, but it is always coexisting in a lack mindset. Because of this, when we desire abundance, it is literally a matter of recognizing that here is your step 1 tip today. Lack is showing you what you want. That's its job. It is saying, I am empty, fill me. It is saying, I am hungry, feed me. It is saying, I am thirsty, I need drinks, I need drinks, I need drinks, I need replenishment. This is lack's job. The more you understand lack's job, now we can get to work. Because lack is showing you replenishment. Soul replenishment. It is showing you how to replenish yourself. This is lack's job. Lack is our survivalist mechanism. It is normal to experience lack. What is not normal is to stay in lack and not recognize that you have the ability to create a bridge to abundance due to your perceptions of how you are seeing lack. Okay? So tip number 1 is to recognize that lack is showing you what you want. So if you desire to manifest abundance, start to pay attention to the conversations and patterns that lack is showing in your reality. So now we're bringing in some manifestation. Start to look at the conversations that lack is showing you in your reality. What do you want? If you're in fear of not being heard, or fear of not being seen, or any of these conversations of where you are lacking, look at what you want. That will reveal to you how to understand lack. Next, what we have to discover when understanding abundance mindset, we are desiring replenishment. Abundance is the state of more than enough to go around. When you're focused on the lack, all you can see is lack, okay? This will change your life if you really listen to this. When you are focused on lack, you are focused on problems. When you are focused on lack, you are focused on all of your limitations. When you're focused on lack, you're ready to criticize yourself, you're ready to beat yourself up. You're in the downward spiral. Lack puts you in survival. Lack puts you in resistance. Lack puts you in the downward spiral of pushing down your energy. Abundance does the opposite. So what you focus on grows, right? So tip number 2 is what you focus on grows. So now what I want you to do is, now that you've identified, hey, what is lack showing me that I want you to take your focus and I want you to start changing the direction back to abundance. How do we do that? We focus on what is currently thriving. Changing our focus to abundance is as simple as being grateful for what you already have and starting to look at the abundance that is already present around you. The more you begin to do this and sustain this, you can start to open up a different conversation where you're not depending on the lack anymore. You're starting to fixate on the replenishment. So the replenishment is showing you having energy. It's showing you having instead of not having. Okay, playing with manifestation. In the having energy current, we're in abundance. We are filling our cup and we're focused on abundance instead of lack. Now, the key here, what we focus on expands. Energy management 101. What we focus on expands and radiates out into our reality. Now, if we're focusing on abundance in our reality, we must discover that we have to keep focusing on abundance for abundance to keep appearing. And so what occurs is often we will be in abundance and then we'll get snapped back into lack due to a trigger or a survivalist response. So the journey here is to keep coming back and have, like, how fast is your comeback rate, basically. And so the journey here is to start focusing more on the abundance as a momentum of change. So that's what I talk a lot about in Awaken Your Power to Manifest, the book that I just recently released, is we have the ability to change our focus by changing the ways we are responding in our reality through gratitude. We can do this without gratitude, but I find it's so much easier with gratitude because it's like, I'm grateful for my coffee, I'm grateful for my food, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. And then what we do is we expand even further on gratitude by being grateful for what we are desiring to experience in the future. And because of this, the more that we create a momentum of abundance, no matter what doubts are occurring, no matter what lack is appearing, no matter what resistance is showing up, your momentum is starting to shift and change the more you focus on the abundance. So step 2 is to watch where your focus is going. And, I bumped it. And to understand that your focus is your master attractor. Okay? Master attractor, whatever. Master attraction power. Your focus is your attraction power. That sounds a little bit better. So when you think about abundance, I want you to consider, what do you define as abundant versus lack? Because that's the starting root of how you cultivate an abundance mindset. You have to be willing to look at the polarities, the universal laws as a concept, and recognize the awareness of lack is an illusion that is desiring replenishment. It's a temporal state of consciousness. It's a temporal state. That means it is always changing. It is always in flux. It is always moving forward. So because of this, this concept of abundance itself is literally more real. It's more real for life over death. It's more real to be in a state of life versus rebirth even. Because life itself is always blooming in, unless there's an apocalypse, there is literally like always replenishment occurring in life. So abundance is more real than lack. The more you focus on abundance, the more abundance will grow. The more you focus on overflow, the more you focus on I always have more than enough. The more that you hone those beliefs in that you always have more than enough, you always have more than enough, you always have more than enough, you will start to literally magnetize that into your field. One of the strongest beliefs you can ever have is I'm grateful and happy. I always have more than enough for my needs, desires, and wants to be met. Always. And keeping that going and understanding that concept as a whole, because that is a core belief that will root you into abundance. Now, step 3, we take it one step further, and I want you to think about abundance when it comes to the relationships in your actions. So abundance mindset goes beyond just a mental concept. It goes into the actions we show up as. It goes into, are you frantically worried you're going to run out of things? Or are you in a mentality where there's always more than enough? I can always tell when I'm in abundance because I'd be like, oh, I'm going to run out of paper. I'm going to run out of ranch. And I'm like, this is silly. There's always more than enough. So the mantra and anchor thought you really want to carry with you with your actions, and this will really shift you, is, but there's always more than enough. But there is always more than enough. And there is always more than enough. And so when you go to take that action and you're frantic about spending money, but there is always more than enough. When you go to take that action and you're suddenly tripped up in fear about something, you stop. No, actually, I am always more than enough. And so what you're doing is you're programming your subconscious mind to start believing you as you take these actions, and you start solidifying the pattern in your nervous system that you are already more than enough. You're already more than enough. What you have is already more than enough, and who you are is more than enough. So do you see how we're cultivating a system of abundance versus the lack? The lack says you're not enough. The lack says what you're doing isn't enough. The lack says who you are as a person isn't actually enough. So you better strive, force, and push your way there. No, the actual root of really grounding an abundant foundation in your life is rooted around the concepts I just told you. Focus on what's thriving. Understand what the lack is teaching you. Teaching you. Focus on what's thriving and anchor a root thought into, but there is always more than enough. Moment by moment by moment by moment. And I want you to stop and see how much your life changes just by those simple 3 steps. All right. Okay, so I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. If there is a specific topic that you would love me to cover, please drop them below. Before you go, I do want to mention that my new masterclass is just released, and I'm so pumped about sharing it with you guys. So it is called The 5 Manifesting Secrets to Quantum Leap Without the Fluffy Bullshit. And let me tell you, I jam-packed this masterclass with so much of value that it will blow your mind with how much you're receiving. So If you would like to explore the new masterclass, I'm going to leave the link below. You will start hearing about this more as I'm opening up the doors to the Soul Line Manifesting Circle, my signature program, all on energy work and manifestation, and learning how to systemize manifestation to make it a habit and a way of life for yourself. If you are interested in working together, please reach out. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. And finally, I hope you deeply enjoyed this beautiful tip on abundance mindset that you can carry with you in your own life and honestly shift your energy so fast. It's amazing. Okay. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.